everyone, today in this video, I'm going to be checking out the SANSUI 27-inch gaming monitor. Specifically, the model here is ES-G27F2. I did receive this sample, but any opinion expressed in this video is strictly my own. That being said, if you're interested in this monitor or you want to find out more about it, the link to it will be in the video description. Take a look at the retail box and packaging. They walk you through some key features. This is an IPS display with 1920 by 1080p full HD resolution and a 165 Hz refresh rate. This also has two HDMI 2.0 ports and one DisplayPort 1.4 port. Now let's go ahead, let's open it up and see what's inside. Here are all the contents. First up, we have our product literature featuring our quick start guide with important safety information, followed by your setup instructions on the back side. Next, we have our warranty information. Then we have some cables. We have our power supply for the monitor. Take a look at that up close, if you can see those specs there. And then we have our barrel connector. We have an included HDMI cable. See the HDMI end right there. Then we have our stand in two pieces. Looks like it's going to snap in place for a toolless install, which is great. And then last but not least, we have the monitor. Let's look at this up close. Here's a look at the back side of the monitor with our VESA mount option here if you want to use your own stand, power button, and menu navigation and controls. We have all of our inputs labeled for us here. This is our stand that's currently included where that's going to be installed and snap into place with a release lever there. And additional product information. Let's tip it up to look at all the ports. So power, headphone jack, two HDMIs, one display port right there. Be able to see those ports up close. Get a feel too from the top-down camera how thick this monitor is. We have our Kensington security lock right there. Give you the side profile. We'll do that top-down from the top down with some venting along the top. And now looking at the front of the monitor, we have the SANSUI logo and branding down at the bottom, our power indicator light here, and then our bezel-less sides and top. Looking in the light, I think the actual pixels stop right at about the tip of my thumb right there. But that plastic bezel is just fingernail width along the side and the top. Now let's get this set up and try it out. So we have the monitor all set up and ready to go. First thing I want to show you is the included stand. The functionality we get is very limited and basic. It just has tilt functionality, so we can tilt it this far back, or this far forward, or somewhere in between as we see fit. There's no height adjustments, there's no swivel rotation, or anything else. Also, really quickly, I wanted to show you, we have our Windows PC connected, and we're getting everything as advertised. 1920 by 1080p full HD at up to 165 Hz for the refresh rate. Now let's go ahead, let's look at the menu settings. Now we'll spend a little bit more time looking at the different picture mode options here. So currently we're in standard. There's movie, office, we'll leave it on office for a second, then FPS, RTS, racing, sRGB, back to energy saver, back to standard. I'll try to toggle through them quickly so we can see it on the same frame rates and videos. They are going to adjust and change the picture, but mostly it's just either lighter or darker, honestly. FPS is nice for that. I like that one. Energy saver, standard, so obviously it's just not as bright, but really just feels like the brightness is what's mostly changing with these different picture mode options. But just little subtle differences that maybe you just want to toggle through these every time you're playing a game to see which one looks best or works best for you in that particular situation. Now it's time to talk about our UFO test. I'll show you two different UFO tests on this monitor. Now keep in mind, take this with a grain of salt. You're watching this probably at 1080p or 4K at 30 FPS, and it's being filmed through a camera lens pointed at a screen. So just take it for what it is, but I wanted to show you really quickly 3 different FPS values at our 165 Hz refresh rate to show you why typically more is better if your system and monitor can match each other to give you that better performance. So 41 FPS down at the bottom, 83 in the middle, so we've doubled, and then we're, doubling again up at the top. And that UFO, especially in person, it looks so much better at 165 FPS than 41. And there's still a noticeable difference between the 83 to 165. So he's very clear, very smooth going across the screen at 165 compared to 83 and 41. So if you can get a higher refresh rate monitor for gaming and your system or console can match that, you'll get much smoother gameplay. That's the key that you got to realize here at this step. It's just knowing that if you can push it and your system allows for it and your monitor can handle it, you will see better gameplay footage and have a much more enjoyable experience at that higher refresh rate with those higher FPS values. And now we're looking at our second UFO test for motion blur. So again, take it with a grain of salt. You're watching this from an online streaming player with a camera pointed at a monitor. But anyways, to my naked eye, what I'm seeing here looking at this monitor, we want to see what sort of ghosting, blurring, smearing, all that good stuff that we get as this UFO moves across the screen. So as I look at it, I'd like to see the UFO be a little bit clearer than he is right now. But honestly, it's not bad. Typically what we see is towards the back end of the ship, we see some smearing along the saucer and where his head is. That holds up true in this case too, but it's actually better than I thought it would be. For those wondering, this is an IPS panel, and the good news here is I did not notice any IPS glow. Now keep in mind that could truly vary monitor to monitor, but in our case, with the sample unit we have here, no issues to report back in that regard. This is a black screen right now. We turn off all the lights and look at it with a critical eye to see if we can notice any sort of IPS glow or backlight bleeding. In this case, for the backlight bleed, I noticed just a little bit up at the top here along the seam. Not bad at all, very common. I'm not sure if I've really encountered many monitors, if at all, that don't have anything. And again, I'm being super critical and picky there. So everything is well within spec, at least from my experience. Nothing detrimental or that's gonna bother you or even be noticeable. I guess technically, if you turn off all the lights and you wanna stare at a black screen in a dark room and look up at a funky angle, off to the side corner, you might be able to see a little bit there. So if that's how you like to consume your content and that's what you like to do, well, then you're out of luck. Now it's time to showcase what it's like to just do common things with this monitor, like browse the web. So I have a couple different websites we'll look at. First up, it's the YouTube trending page right here. Take a look, get a feel maybe for how responsive it is, how everything looks. And then you'll notice we have some videos, right? If we want to play a video through here, you could do that. But YouTube looks fine. Everything loads and is proportionate as it should be with your 16:9 ratio. So far, so good. Responsive scrolling experience. Now we'll head over to The Verge. We'll browse this. You'll see a lot of images, ads, fonts, text, headers, all that good stuff. And we'll click on an article. So we'll click on this one right here, just so we can load different colors. Just get a feel for what you're seeing here. The images, the embedded videos. I love IPS panels. Colors are great. Viewing angles, fantastic. I mean, I can see everything not even distorted right here looking at it. So I'd love that about IPS panels. You just can't beat that. And then last but not least, I mean, gotta have Amazon, right? So if you want to do a little bit of shopping with the monitor, just your typical daily tasks and browsing, definitely passed my test. For those wondering about speakers, this monitor does not have built-in speakers, but you do have the headphone jack, so you can adjust the volume from your computer or from the menu settings if you have headphones connected. Now it's time for us to test out the input lag on this monitor. Now keep in mind, input lag is different from response time. This has an advertised 1 millisecond response time. Input lag, on the other hand, is going to be the amount of time it takes for your monitor to display a signal on screen from when the source sends it. So we're sending that signal and measuring it through this magic box right here. So let's see what results we get. All right, first up at the top, we'll have our lowest value here. We're at that 1.3, maybe 1.2 millisecond range, but 1.3 milliseconds right there up at the top. Middle value's coming in right at about 8.5 milliseconds. And now our highest value will be at the bottom, under 16, which is good, 15.8 milliseconds. Now let's talk about this monitor's color accuracy. So using DisplayCal, here are the results that we got. So gamut coverage, 95.5% for sRGB, 73.6% for Adobe RGB, and 83.6% for DCI P3. In regards to volume, 119.9% for sRGB, 82.6% for Adobe RGB, and 84.9% for DCI-P3. So, for you color graders, video editors, photographers, photo editors, whatever it may be, hopefully that's going to meet or exceed what you're looking for. You didn't think we'd forget about gaming, did you? Let's take a look at some gaming footage from Forza 5, Assassin's Creed, and Borderlands 3. Don't worry, I haven't forgot about you console gamers as well. We have the PlayStation 5 connected here. Checking our video output signal, we are getting 1920 by 1080 at 120 Hertz. That's what you can expect with this monitor on a PlayStation 5. And same thing can be said for the Xbox Series X. Under our TV and display options, we have our full HD resolution and our 120 Hertz refresh rate. So where does that leave us in regards to the SANSUI gaming monitor? Well, let me share with you my final thoughts. At the time of this video, and things fluctuate a little bit, but usually this is gonna be one of the most affordable 27-inch gaming monitors you can get on the market. So the competition is really just Scepter and AOC. So Scepter has a very similarly spec'd panel that's going to be $10 cheaper, but only up to 100 Hertz. And I'm not positive, but I believe it's a VA panel. This is an IPS panel at 165 Hertz, $10 more. Scepter has built-in speakers, this one doesn't. Now, that being said, $10 more than this monitor is an AOC monitor that has HDR10 as well as 180 Hertz refresh rate and a much better stand. That's where this kind of lays within the competition. Very aggressively priced for what it is. And that's just up to you to mix and match. What do you care more about? Better stand? You want HDR10? Would you rather have a couple extra bucks in your pocket, but you don't want to forego anything less than 120 Hertz because you're going to be using this on console? Well, that's where this is really going to hit the sweet spot, right? Console gaming or PC gaming if you want to take advantage of the 165 Hertz, but that's where this is going to beat out the Scepter monitor for $10 more. Definitely worthwhile. Then it's up to you if you want to spend 10 extra bucks to go with the AOC, but for me personally, I'm always about spending the least amount as possible to get exactly what I need or want. So if it meets that bill, great. If it doesn't, there's plenty of other monitors out there, but a really solid and respectable choice for an IPS panel for gaming at 1080p on console or bonus points PC, so you can take advantage of the higher 160 Hertz refresh rate. But 1080p, 120 Hertz for console is going to be the sweet spot for this monitor, and obviously 1080p 165 if your system can push it on PC. In the future, I'd love to see a better stand with more versatility as well as built-in speakers. I know. I'd rather have the speakers and not need them than need the speakers and not have them. But thankfully, they have VESA mount options, so if you want to swap stands, you can do that, and you can get the versatility that maybe you want as well. But overall, very affordable for what it is.